Hello, hello. Ooh, it's Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. I'm your host, Herwig Konings. You can also call me Happy because I am excited about real world asset tokenization. We've got another great week of news for you this week, everybody. I just came back from the RWA Summit over in New York City. That was amazing. Lots of great updates, lots of great people that I got to see there. So I can't wait to dive into that. And oof, what another week of big tokenization news, everybody. This industry is moving. I can't wait to dive into the market movements. But first, please take a minute, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Make sure you're giving us the support we need to keep this show going for you every week with the latest and greatest, like the market movements. Let's run it. Okay, we saw some big headlines. In fact, we've got so much news once again this week. You just don't want to listen to me rattle it all off. In fact, you can go ahead and subscribe to our newsletters on stm.co so you'll get all the latest details and news that's happening in the market Mondays and Wednesdays usually, but then you got Fridays for the show here. So again, thanks for tuning in for those of you who are live. But actually, we got some big news to start off with the fact that there is a lot of activity on the digital bond side, folks. Tokenized bonds, whether you have an argument about exactly how decentralized these bonds are, there are now over 10 billion euros worth of issuance, roughly like 12 billion across like 4 billion, 5 billion, and now a new $3 billion bond over on the Deutsche Börse's D7 Clearstream platform. Okay, this is their digital platform that uses smart contracts, leverages DAML, the language, as well as other networks like Canton networks and things like that. So they have a very successful infrastructure leveraging, still on a centralized ledger sort of system, smart contracts to get the efficiencies of tokenizations. But there are a lot of savings to be had, much faster transactions to be had, reduced counterparty risk, et cetera. So that explains why you see these giant bonds, multi-year bonds, some 7-8 year bonds being issued here, which I'm excited about. That's a huge market that no one's talking about. That's like 3-4 billion or 3 times more in the billions than the current treasury market. And there's so many other aspects of tokenization. This one is worth keeping an eye on, folks, because I really do think institutions are going to be continuing to follow this bond trend, specifically starting on centralized ledgers before they start to tap into more DeFi-like offerings out there. But moving on, we actually saw another big $1 billion offering. And for those of you who have been listening for a long time, it's not often we get to have these big $1 billion conversations multiple times in one episode. But here we are. That's where the industry has come. And that goes out to RM Equity, who's going to be using the Zonix platform for their tokenization. But through multiple tranches, of course, they will be launching a ultimately $1 billion equity and debt fund for real estate, specifically data centers infrastructure, like in the United States, the UAE, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, India, and Europe. So we're talking about data centers across multiple regions here. So a very interesting, diversified opportunity, again, through equity and debt. We'll have to learn more. We're going to plan to get them on the show next week if we can here. Moving on next, I want to talk about a big stablecoin announcement, okay? One of the 5th largest banks in Thailand is actually doing a stablecoin. So this is big news because this is not your average fintech startup. This is a big bank that's focusing on cross-border payments. They've got obviously the support from the regulator. And they plan to focus this on corporate clients, right? So this is a serious business. The stablecoin business is now booming. And it's safe to say that there are going to be many other banks to follow, specifically internationally, with the leg up on some of the regimes that are out there, unlike in the United States, which are less friendly, of course, to enabling banks to do something like this. But it's a big deal. Banks are coming for the stablecoin game. And it provides a lot of security and assurance that a lot of folks are looking for, especially on the corporate enterprise side. So look out, stablecoin market. This is pretty big news, I think. Next in the market, we also saw BUIDL continue to prove its application. So apart from growing in a massive size, why is one of the big questions. Well, treasury management is great. We talk about how DAOs, foundations, and stablecoin reserves want to tap into that, very low risk type of investment that's very liquid. As we've talked about, you can convert BUIDL 100% into USDC instantly, in and out, right? But we're also seeing the collateralization use case, posting it for margin. We've seen it used by, supported by Falcon X, by Hidden Road, and several others. And now we actually saw an announcement that BUIDL is being used as collateral for derivatives, right? On Binance, on OKX, and a couple other exchanges. This is a big exchanges that are supporting what is now clearly a market-leading product, a category-leading product here. And it's great to see because the market is, of course, continuing to grow. I think BUIDL is going to have these big chunks of allocations that come in over time, over the next couple quarters here, that you see it jump a couple $100 million at a time and quickly blow through that $1 billion mark. I think is safe to say, if they continue to build out this great crypto infrastructure, right? This is clearly who the audience they're trying to talk to and say, we are here to serve you through all the core infrastructure providers you're used to. But they are going to get some competition. We know that there's a multi-trillion-dollar, liquidity markets arm, treasuries products, and for fund management and operations management. This is a big market by multiple banks and asset managers around the world, including legal in general. Out of the UK, they are one of the biggest with over $1 trillion. I think they're out of the UK. I'm not sure about that one, but they are getting into the tokenization game. Their LGIM product. There's not much to be said about who this target is going to be for, other than, of course, we know that they are a massive mover in the traditional version of these products. So their LGIM product would naturally eventually go to tokenization rails, as I believe all products will be. But this goes to show you, and that there are a lot of these $1 trillion asset managers that are going to be moving into this space. It's not just going to be BlackRock and Franklin Templeton and Aberdeen's party anymore. And now we know State Street is coming, and we know they're going to keep on coming. So wild stuff. More on the DeFi side, I also want to report that Mantra is finally live, folks. So we know they've been having an exceptional success in the crypto community with their OM token, but also signing some big deals, specifically in the UAE with some big real estate groups, and like Mag Group and Zan Bank. But we know that they hadn't been live yet. So we know that they've been testing, and now they're officially live. So now their ecosystem can grow and open up to a lot of different projects that are looking for what they call, an institutional L1, layer one, obviously, their own blockchain for RWAs. We've seen this narrative from others like Polymesh and even Provenance and others. Let's see the success of Mantra. I would love to see more activity. So congrats to their mainnet launch. And finally, I want to end on some big announcements regarding the M&A and sort of investment activity. I think everybody saw the news from Stripe, acquiring Bridge, so I'm sure you've read all the commentary here and there, but other than the fact that it was a massive acquisition, for $1 billion, which means, of course, that Stripe clearly values this and is ready to pay the price to get a first mover into essentially, stable coin infrastructure technology to make it easier to onboard enterprises, right? Not necessarily make it easy for crypto communities and crypto projects to leverage Stripe for anything in that capacity, but actually for the rest of the world, for small businesses to websites and all other, applications that want to accept payments digitally via traditional e-commerce. Now they can do it via Stripe to accept stable coins too. So that Bridge acquisition makes obviously a ton of sense as Stripe continues to bolster its infrastructure to support stablecoin payments through its massive payment processing engine. And I just love always to see when we're, going after the real world in terms of, the economy that exists today and trying to bring that on chain. As opposed to just creating new value. So really love that acquisition with Stripe, sorry. But Stoker also in the industry made a big announcement that they've officially raised over $7.5 million, 7.4 million euros, if you will. Folger Ventures, a big leader in the round here. And of course, we've seen a lot of success with Stoker in terms of their Bitcoin treasury and sort of Bitcoin tokenized assets that they have on their platform. So really, really exciting. Blockstream's big success with Stoker. And Folger, by the way, also led Blockstream's $210 million convertible note. So it's clear that there's a strong alliance and ecosystem being built together here, led through Folger's hand potentially. But they've had a lot of success together as partners. So this is just great to see that they're continuing to have a lot of success. By the way, it's cool to see that they actually took quite a bit of that money in their funding round, they said, in BTC as opposed to just predominantly cash. So that just goes to show you that they truly believe in sort of Bitcoin corporate managed treasuries and things like that. So definitely check into that if you're interested. And last but not least, Gnosis DAO, the Gnosis DAO, is now launching a $40 million venture fund. 20 million of it coming from the DAO, 20 million of it coming from external LPs that of course benefit from the return on this fund. But they have three focuses, one of them being real world assets. And we know Realty has built a lot of their infrastructure on Gnosis. And this is a very common tactic for chains to try to grow adoption, right? They build grant programs, they have venture arms, they have a focus to say, how can we support building incentives to have developers and assets go on our chain and ultimately. So really good stuff. Definitely going to want to learn more about this new $40 million fund. So I'm going to try to reach out to them. But that is all that I have for you in the market movements this week. Like I said, there's a lot more news. You can go check it out at stm.co. But now we got to go choose a company of the week. Wow, what a lot of great updates for the week. A lot of new big players in the space, asset managers, a lot of great announcements. Biddle making moves as always. I got to pick a company of the week. Who's going to be our company that gets the spotlight this week, that I think deserves a lot of attention. There were a lot of good companies. And in fact, I did mention at the beginning of the episode that I also was at Centrifuge's RWA Summit in New York, where I got to hear a lot of other great updates and insights. I think one of the biggest ones that Franklin Templeton said on stage was the fact that they brought $50,000 worth of costs down to worth a couple bucks, less than $2. And that's the future of what we're doing here with tokenization, ultimately from a technical infrastructure perspective, right? We're reducing payments, we're reducing settlements, we're reducing all kinds of benefits. So there are so many options to give out company of the week. But I have to give a shout out also, obviously, to Centrifuge for putting this together. Specifically, Baji, part of the Centrifuge team, I know is sort of quarterbacking this whole thing. But we got a lot of great insights from Lucas and a lot of the other members of the founding team of Centrifuge, as well as all the other great panelists. So definitely check out, I know some of the publications that they're going to be putting out from this event. There's going to be a lot of great insights in there. And also a shout out to Centrifuge. Didn't mention it, but Fireblocks also is now integrated into their platform. So they do have that native support and custody features of Fireblocks, increasing the user experience, if you will. And also for those who are comfortable with Fireblocks' custody, now they can leverage that for the products on Centrifuge. So really great to see. So for all those reasons, because it was such a great event, and even though we had a lot of great updates on the industry, I got to give my company of the week to Centrifuge. It was such a great event to be at, to learn at, meet up with a lot of different folks. It was very curated, invite only. So unlike Tokenize This, where we're trying to invite as many people who want to come out and learn. So please join us in April next year for Tokenize This in New York. But this was highly curated, about 50% suits, 50% hoodies, if you will, crypto versus asset managers, TradFi. And wow, A lot of great just talks and panels. Scottie Pippen was there getting into the game. And a lot of validation that there is a positive sentiment about where the market is headed into 2025 with the political landscape sort of settling down, if you will, and hopefully a lot of traction and interest in the crypto and RWA's markets converging. So congratulations, Centrifuge, on an amazing event. Keep up your RWA Summit series and all the great work that you do in the industry with your incredible platform. Go check it out if you haven't before, folks. And with that, that's our show. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, please, anything you can do to share, like, subscribe if you haven't. We always appreciate the love and support. And give us your feedback. Send in your comments. Let us know what you're thinking about the space. We're near the end of the year. Tell us who you think should win Company of the Year. I'd love to hear your thoughts ultimately. And in the meantime, go to stm.co if you want all the latest and greatest happening in the space. We're tracking all these digital bonds that are getting put out there. We're tracking these new commodities products, these new treasuries products, these new equities that are trading on the different ATSs and marketplaces. So we hope you'll learn with us and continue to keep up with us every Friday on the show. And with that, have a great weekend, everybody. Happy tokenizing.